to another episode of Guided. Welcome to 2025, guys. We're here. How do you feel? Exactly the same? Super different? I'd love to know. First things first, before we jump in. One, I'm thrilled that you're here. Two, did you know that I am in this January-February edition of Women's Health? If you're watching on Spotify, yes, you can watch me in the Spotify app. If you're just listening to this and wish it had a visual element, head over to Spotify. You can watch me in there. I'm there. Hi, I'm waving at you. But did you know that I am in this, I'm holding up to camera, this issue, the January-February issue of Women's Health? It's so exciting. I am so delighted to share this news. I am right here. You can read all about me, and actually there is a little treat inside Women's Health from me to you if you want to go and find that. It's kind of like a little, what do they call that? You know, when you leave like a little trail, like a rabbit. I can't remember what the phrase is. You know what I'm trying to say. There's a little treat in there for you. I'm so delighted to share the news that I am featured in Women's Health, and yes, what a way to kick off 2025. This is so exciting. Okay, that was just my little bit of very exciting news that I wanted to share. If we haven't met before, hi, my name is Evie. I am your self-appointed big sister and Enneagram guide. I am here to help you navigate the intersections of personal growth, self-care and intentional living. Ooh, does that sound good? Yes, it does. And today, the first podcast of 2025, we are diving into a topic that I am pumped about, okay, you guys? I'm very excited about it. We are diving into the winter arc. Now, if you are chronically online, just like I am, you will have heard about the winter arc. Maybe you're already locked in to your winter arc. But the phrase winter arc, I'm not entirely sure who coined it. I don't know whether it was Alana Davison, who is a very big health and wellness YouTuber. I don't know who exactly it originated with, but it came about a few years ago. And it's this idea of using the winter, using this time when things are dark and rainy and cold, where we're not out all the time like we maybe are in spring and summer. We're using this time as a phase of introspection and rest, nourishment. Ultimately, we're using this time for quiet transformation. Does that sound like something you're interested in? It's something I'm interested in, but clearly, hence this podcast, I can't do things quietly. The winter arc is a time when growth might feel really small, slow, even invisible, but beneath the surface, profound shifts are taking place. Just like the trees right now, the plants, the daffodils are quietly getting on with their business. It looks like nothing is happening, nada, nothing. But actually, this quiet transformation is taking place. So whether you're literally in winter right now, in the season of it, or you're just feeling this energy too, maybe you are cycle day 25, 26, 27, through to cycle day, 5, depending on your cycle. Maybe you're in the inner winter phase of your menstrual cycle. I actually am. I'm on cycle day 4. This episode is going to help you embrace this powerful and maybe even necessary part of your journey. How exciting. I was actually ragged on quite a lot by my brother over Christmas that I just keep saying how exciting. I'm sorry if that's annoying. I'm now really consciously aware of it. Thanks, Jake. So if that bit gets annoying, you can join in with him and tell me. But let's just look a little bit into the symbolism of winter. Let's start by talking about winter itself, the season. So we know that in winter, this season is a season where everything slows down. Trees have let go of their leaves, they're bare, they're kind of not doing anything. The earth is resting. There's not really much to harvest, although I'm sure some gardeners will tell me I'm wrong. But you wouldn't traditionally think of this time as harvest time. And there is this beautiful stillness, which you might be able to see behind me, that invites reflection. We've just had New Year. There's a lot of reflecting on Instagram. People, including me, sharing their highlights from the previous year. How many people shared their lowlights? Not many. But we're in this season of reflection, whether that be internal or external. And as humans, we can often resist this season of pause, especially as we're in a world that glorifies hustle culture, getting stuff done, moving all the time, constant productivity, yeah? But winter reminds us that rest is essential for recovery and renewal. It's a chance to step back, process what's past, and then begin to prepare for what's next. In our personal lives, the winter arc might look like slowing down, especially after such an intense period of the holiday season. And it could even look like grappling, engaging with feelings of uncertainty and loss. It's not always easy, but I would say it is really, really beautiful and necessary. You know, we see that in this part of the world, the part of the world that I live in, you know, we experience winter every year at this time of year. Let's not talk about global warming right now. You know, we see the trees lose their leaves and the ground become very frozen, quiet. We've got snow forecast for the next couple of days. Gentle, quiet, sleepy, cozy. These are kind of feelings that we experience every single season, every single winter, which happens every single year. So there is this element of perhaps this is necessary. So let's talk more about the personal winter arc then. Let's make it personal. I'd love you to think about a time in your life when things felt stagnant and still and like there was not a lot really happening, okay? Think back to a time when that happened. A season where it seemed like nothing was moving forward, nothing was happening. Maybe you just ended a relationship, maybe you just switched careers and where you were just beginning to get going and starting something brand new. Or maybe you were just facing a big life transition. These moments feel really uncomfortable. They feel extremely painful, but they are part of the larger cycle. And so I can really relate to this, you know. When I sold my previous business, I sold that previous business in December, and I launched what was then the Type Guide, what is now the Enneagram Guide, literally not even 4 weeks later. I think it was 4 weeks like to the dot on January the 22nd of 2022. Yeah. I did not slow down. I did not grieve the ending, the passing on of my previous business. And I didn't, allow for kind of fallow ground. I didn't really allow for stillness or quiet or peace to find me in that 4 weeks. And I just got going and I got stuck in with the Enneagram Guide. I launched a month later. Now, that is really sweet. I was just so excited. I was so ready to share about this life-changing tool that was, that had in every single way transformed my life. In every area of my life, things had transformed and were more beautiful and were more potent, and I could understand myself and my partner and my people so much better. The way I work, the way I get sad, what to do when I get sad, what to do when I'm happy. My health moves, my stress moves. I was so excited to share it, and so I did. And that's beautifully naive. And looking back, what I really should have done is left some time to make space for the winter of that season. I didn't. I should have. And so if you find yourself in a similar place right now, I would love to invite you into a place of stillness, into a place of grieving, into a place of letting go, into a place of being okay with how uncomfortable you feel. I am not very good at sitting still. I am not very good at not working. And so I leaned in to everything that I know is not the best version of me. I leaned into just staying in forward motion, just working so hard at this idea of perfectionism. And that's what I did. And I've learned a lot from that, I wish I had been able to give myself that time. If I could go back, yeah, I probably would. Was the launch of my business beautiful and exciting? Did I do lots of exciting things, in the February, the March, the April? Yeah, I did. I had some really amazing opportunities, and that was incredible. But probably, possibly, definitely taking a little bit of extra time would have nourished me and prepared me in a way that, just ploughing on ahead couldn't. And so I just share that with you there. Take it if it's helpful, ignore it if it's not. But I do really feel that this kind of idea of winter being necessary is really true. And there's lots to learn from that. There's lots to hold on to that. And so as we find ourselves in winter, I would love to invite you into, this idea of the winter arc coming from a place of slowing down, coming from a place of rejuvenation and renewal, not just locking in for the winter arc and pushing on ahead, perhaps like I did a couple of years ago. Also, my second business birthday is coming up. We will have to do something to celebrate that later on in the month, but more on that later. That's just reminded me. So slowing down doesn't mean stopping. In fact, the deepest growth often comes from the quiet. It happens in silence, in stillness. And so that is really what I want to invite you into today. That is my offering for you today on the first Monday in January. And that is so countercultural, right? Because a lot of people, I don't want to just blame people. So, but maybe gyms, maybe different kind of diets, foods. There might be a January 1st or, January 6th. Let's lock in. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's push really hard. And I don't think that's inherently wrong, but I wonder what a perhaps more centered approach, perhaps a more natural, organic approach could look like. An approach that is holistic in nature, where we are inspired by what's going on in nature. How could we learn from the greatest wisdom teachers ever? Trees. And, other parts of nature. What are they doing right now? What does their quiet renewal and transformation look like? That is what I'm interested in this January. And I wonder if it could be interesting for you as well. So let's just dive into the Enneagram very quickly. If this is your first time listening and you're like, she's mentioned this word a few times, what is she on about? The Enneagram is a personality tool. It's deep, it's powerful, it's ancient, it's been around for a long time. Not many people are talking about it. I'm trying to change that. I think it could rock your world, and I have centered my whole well-being business around it. The Enneagram is this personality tool, as I've just said, and what it does is it kind of puts you into a personality grouping, so 1 through to 9. So I'm a type 1, for example. I'm married to a type 5. My dad is a type 8. My mum's a type 2. My brother still has not decided what type he is. He thinks he might be a type 4. But it offers us this kind of personality blueprint about how we might react in certain situations, how we might respond, what we are motivated by. And so the Enneagram looks at why we do what we do, not just what we do. And so it differs a little bit from Myers-Briggs or Strength Finders or other personality tools in that sense. And why I love it so much is because you can use it like a roadmap. Yeah, so Enneagram, if we break those words down from the ancient Greek, Ennea meaning 9 and gram meaning way of seeing or map. 9 different ways to be in this world, 9 different ways to see this world. Here are 9 different versions of this world. Which one feels truest to you? Okay, maybe you're a type 1, just like me. Let's use this information as a roadmap, as a blueprint to live in tune with our values and goals to become the highest version of ourselves. Yeah? So that's kind of what the Enneagram is. And if you're listening now and you're thinking, ooh, I would love to know which type I am, just scroll down in the show notes and you'll be able to find a link. It should be by the top for my free Enneagram quiz. It's not very long. It's a little quiz that will tell you probably what Enneagram type you are. Do that quiz. Once you have a number, DM me the number and I will blow your socks off. I'm going to freak you out by how much I can tell you about you. Yeah, I know how you work. I do. I'm sorry. I already know. I'd love to tell you about it. But what I wanted to do today was talk about how the winter arc could show up depending on your Enneagram type. You know, how that could be helpful. How the winter arc could be helpful for you depending on your Enneagram type. Let's talk about them. Okay, we are going to start with Enneagram 4s. Because, you know, you're right in the middle. Nobody ever starts with Enneagram 4s. And I have got so many Enneagram 4s in my life right now. I've got so many Enneagram 4 clients. So we're going to start with Enneagram 4s, okay? So Enneagram 4s are known as the romantic, the individualist. They are deep and introspective. They struggle with the feeling of being like an outcast. They struggle to see their place in the world because they think so differently. They are so different. And they also have the most access to emotions. Yeah, we could think of the Enneagram 4. I think of their lungs, their internal world, like deep, deep caverns, deep caves of emotion where there is space for every single emotion. And, you know, Enneagram 4s experience so many emotions on a daily basis, on an hourly basis even. And so there is this kind of, deep, deep sense of emotionality when we're talking about the type 4s. And so I think the winter arc could look like this for you type 4s. So I don't think you'll struggle to embrace the depths of winter, but I think you could struggle to balance your reflection with hope, your reflection of the last year, of how you're feeling, of how your holiday season was, with hope. And if you're a type 4, you're probably nodding along right now. This season reminds you, type 4, to sacrifice old wounds for future growth. Yeah? And so what I'm thinking about when I'm talking about that is, you know, trees lose their most beautiful leaves. You know, they begin to lose them in autumn, and by winter, you know, the wind has kind of blown all of them off, and those really beautiful, gorgeous leaves are gone now. They're decomposing in the ground. There is a sacrifice that is required of us in winter. And there's an invitation here for you, type 4s, to let go of the old, you know, the very beautiful, and to make space for that future growth. You know, it's time to allow that mulch to start mulching, for that renewal to begin happening. And that looks like letting fully go of the last year to make space for future growth. I hope that's helpful, type 4. I'd love to know what you think. Okay, type 5s, the investigators, okay? I don't think you guys will struggle with the winter arc at all. I don't think you'll struggle with this season at all. I think winter, you know, for both type 4s, I guess, and type 5s is an incredibly natural place to be, yeah? Type 5s are incredibly introspective. You know, they're incredibly quiet and gentle, silent, really. Not quiet, silent. So I think the opportunity here is to surrender to your overthinking and connect emotionally. How does it feel? Not what do you think is the question for this season for you type 5s. I'd love for you to tell me how you feel about that. Not what you think, what you feel. Okay, type 6. I just have my notes off to the side, just in case if you're watching and wondering where I'm looking. That's where I'm looking. Type 6. You may worry about what's next. You know, you may worry that you're doing winter right and that you're locking in well, and you know, are you doing all the right things to make sure that you have a really great spring and a great summer and a great 2025, and you've got all these to-do lists and you want to do it all, and you're busy and tired already, and whoa. Winter encourages you to relinquish control and to trust the process. We can't see what's happening with the daffodils right now. You know, they're underground. If you've planted daffodils, you planted those bulbs a while ago, they're underground. We can't see what's happening. We don't know how they're going to do. But usually when we plant daffodils in the springtime, they sprout up through the ground and they're very, very beautiful. We can trust the process here, type 6s. We can do it. I promise you. I promise. What does it look like to trust the process? What does that look like for you right now? It maybe looks like a nice long walk with a friend to talk all of it out. I'm yet to meet a type 6 who is not an external processor. A lot of you think you're an internal processor. You're not. 1s, 2s, and 6s, you are in the dependent stance. Yeah, we talked about this just before Christmas. If you're in the dependent stance, your kind of tethering to life is, I'm okay if the rest of the room, the other person, anybody else is okay. I'm okay if you're okay. Yeah, and so what that looks like is often a very external way of being, talking, thinking. Your whole thoughts are tethered to the other person in the room. Sometimes you need the other person to remind you you don't need to think about them. You can, there is help written into that external processing whilst you're trying to take care of everybody else, because the other people can reflect back to you. Hey, we're okay. What do you need? How do you feel? Go on a walk with a friend. Let them reflect that back to you. Sink into it. Okay? Okay, type 6s? Okay, my type 7s, the enthusiasts, the optimists. So sitting with stillness, this idea of winter being still and quiet and lots of time for introspection is of course driving the type 7 mad. If you're listening to this, type 7, wow, thank you for still being here, 20 or so minutes in. Conceding to the stillness is going to bring joy later on, yeah? Learning how to be still, how to be present in this moment is going to bring joy later on. You can't move at 100% all the time. You think you can, you can't. And so learning how to be still, learning how to be silent, especially when nature is reflecting that back to us, is going to bring joy later on. Yeah, you are the eternal sunshine. Yes, in every room, in every setting. But hey, don't you sometimes feel pressured to be the sunshine? Every type 7 I talk to, they do feel the pressure, and they don't want to feel the pressure always. They don't like that is kind of demanded of them by the rest of us. And we do that. We do. I will hold my hand up for sure. So if you don't like that demand, stop demanding it of yourself right now. Yeah? Get comfortable with the stillness. You can do it. Okay, type 8s, the challenger. Type 8s, you're used to action. You are used to going at 100 miles an hour, especially, on your own timeline. What winter does is it asks you to submit to vulnerability and rest. What does it look like to rest? What does restful action look like for you in this season, type 8? It's going to be so different from the type 4 or the type 9, who we'll talk about in a minute, yeah? What does healthy, vulnerable, submission, rest look like for you? What does it look like? Don't tell me it's going to the gym every morning at 6 a.m. You're doing that anyway, yeah? I know you're always doing that, so that isn't like brand new information, okay? That's not helpful. What does rest really, really look like? Does it look like going to the gym at 6 a.m. and just sitting in the sauna? Ooh. What could that feel like? What could that look like? Play with it, you guys, okay? You're always so serious. Let's bring some play in, yeah? Okay, type 9s, my peacemakers. So on the surface, winter could look like it really suits you, just like it does the 4 and the 5, because the 3 of you are in the withdrawing stance. If you want to learn more about that, head back a few episodes. I think winter for type 9s could end up with you guys getting stuck. Maybe even dissociated, yeah? Because you're so good at being still and quiet and underneath a blanket, you could just get stuck there. So I want you to release that inertia and actively reflect, yeah? So not say that you're going to reflect and then scroll on your phone for 3 hours. I want there to be an active reflection, a space for active renewal. And so I think type 9s, that looks like outsourcing the support. So going to a meditation and journaling event. Oh, I've got one coming up next week, next Monday. There are tickets still available. Come along. You could think that maybe I created that event just for type 9s. I didn't, but wow, that is going to be helpful for you type 9s. I think it looks like outsourcing the support. So going to a meditation and journaling event, going to a yoga class, being really present with friends that know not to just talk over you and to leave space for you in the conversation. It looks like journaling. Yeah, one of those, a couple of those, all of those, I think will be helpful for you. Okay, type 1s. Hello. Type 1s, you might feel frustrated with the lack of progress at this time of year. Let's think back to that story I shared from 2 years ago when I was launching the business, yeah? Of course you're feeling frustrated about the lack of progress right now and you're struggling to embrace rest. I don't mind telling you, yesterday I had a full-blown crying on the kitchen floor moment with my husband who was trying to help me rest and I didn't want to. Yeah? If you haven't had a big cry on the kitchen floor yet, are you even a type 1? No, I'm kidding. But if you have and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's 2025 and I've already, I haven't stuck to my 5-point plan about how to have the most amazing day every day of my life. Hey, good. You got there quickly. Good. Stop wasting your time. Let's just get present with the season that we're in, okay? You are not going to start your 50-point plan today. Save that for the summer. You can hit those goals then. But if the sun is still not rising, if it's still dark outside at 8:30, it is not the time to be eating salads and trying to get to every single spin class going on in your city. It's not the time, okay? Winter invites you to release perfectionism. It does. It does. It's time to simply be. I want you to try to perfectly show up to your rest, to your resting, because you're not going to do that, but at least we might hit some rest points on the way into that, yeah? Winter is a hard time for type 1s. It's a hard time for type 7s. It's a hard time for type 3s. It's a hard time for type 8s. It's a hard time for type 9s. The struggle for all of us type 1s, get on with it, Get comfortable with being. Do what you need to do. Don't make the same mistake that I did. I'm being harsh. It's because I love you. Let's do this. Okay, type 2s. Type 2s are known as the friend or the helper. You're obviously always finding it hard to focus on your own needs, type 2. That's obviously kind of inflated at this time of year because you've just spent 2 weeks trying to look after everybody else's needs. Some reflection for you right now. Who asked you to do that? When you're thinking about, wow, I did this and they didn't notice and this wasn't very good. Did they ask you to do that? Because if they didn't and you were just trying to create a magical time, good to remember that that might have been for you and they might not have been looking for that. It's gentle. It's not that gentle. That was really hardcore. It's something to think about, yeah? Suzanne Stabile said it first, I'm just the messenger here. The Enneagram godmother herself, she is a type 2 herself, always says, did that person ask me to help them? I ask you to ask yourself that question as well, yeah? So if you're feeling a bit like, well, they didn't meet my needs and I did this for them and they didn't notice, hey, I would love you to spend the next 6 weeks pouring all of that love and all of that attention inward and onto yourself. Oh, I desperately want you to take good care of yourself, type 2s, in 2025. Let's start really well. Let's do it. Let's do it. Take good care of yourself. Take exquisite care of yourself. All of those lovely ideas that you do for other people, do them for you. Yeah? Because I read this quote, I think it was yesterday. I'll probably make a mistake and I can't remember who it's from or if it's... Yeah, I don't think somebody specifically said it. But it's this idea that solitude isn't lonely inherently. No, that's not the quote. What is it? Oh man, I've lost it. It's something like solitude isn't the same as loneliness. I'd love you to chew on that, type 2s, and not, throw me out of your car window if you're listening to this whilst driving. Solitude isn't the same as loneliness. Can you be still and alone and present and loving all at the same time? I think you can. And I think your body, your heart, your soul, your brain would thank you for it. Good luck. I'm proud of you. and I'm cheering you on. Okay, finally, type 3s. Thank you for waiting. Type 3s are the achiever. Type 3s are a bit like type 1s and a bit like type 7s. Don't love this time of year. Slowing down can feel like a failure if you're a type 3. It's not. Feels like it, but it's not. Type 3s are part of the feelings triad. Yeah, they're feeling dominant. What that means for a type 3 is that they're really good at feeling the rest of the room, or what their Instagram followers need, or what their company needs. They're not very good at knowing what they themselves, the individual, needs. It's why they're next door to type 2s. You know, it all makes sense. What do you need to rest really well, type 3s? The answer is not to hit another 20k month right now. Yeah, that actually isn't going to bring you the rest and the renewal that you think that you're looking for. Feels like it might. It won't. I feel so confident about that. So confident, yeah? Winter, this season, asks you to set aside external achievements and connect with your inner worth. What do you need? How can you give it to yourself? How does that feel? Oh, it's good. It's good stuff, okay? What resonated most for you? You might be thinking, Eve, a different type than my main type resonated for me. Oh, that might happen. Yeah, totally. We are all of the types. You have your most dominant type. For me, my most dominant type is type 1, but I've got quite a lot of 3 in me, and you know, some 7 as well. I've got quite a lot of 7 because that's where I go in health and stress. But you could listen out for your health and stress number. They might be singing to you quite loudly right now. That's a really interesting indication of how your holiday season has gone, if one of those is speaking to you quite loudly. But what's resonated? I would love to hear. I, work by myself. I'm a one-woman band. Everything is done by me. I love feedback. I want as much feedback as possible. If I could ask for anything, it would be more feedback in 2025. What resonated most? I would love to know what your thoughts are. Okay, that might be enough, like hardcore, not very peaceful shenanigans from me today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about practical tools for embracing your winter arc, okay? So we've kind of set the scene with, understanding how you're probably engaging with this season. We just did that, learning about what's going on for your Enneagram type. But what are some ways that, because we live on Earth and we're a part of this hustle culture nation, what are some ways that we can engage this winter arc? What are some ways that we can be inspired by the trees who are, growing all the time, even though we can't see it? How can we embrace this quiet transformation? What does that look like? Okay, some ideas. Firstly, some journaling prompts. Some of you still hate it. We talked about this last episode before maybe. I think you don't like it because your nervous system isn't very regulated. So when you sit down to do it, you don't have any space to do it, So what I would love for you to do is please come to next Monday's event, my meditation and journaling class. My seasonal reset is called A Winter's Guide to New Beginnings. It's a 90-minute class where we regulate our nervous system through breathwork, through meditation, and then we dive into visualization techniques that then lead us into journaling that are going to help us land on what you're ready to release, what lessons you have learned in the last month, 2 months, 3 months, in the last year, and what you are preparing for this year. It is going to be so juicy. If you haven't yet sat down and thought about the next year, I would invite you to do that. And I would invite you to do that in the space, in the nourishing circle of other people who are doing it as well. We are built for community. Yeah, we're built for it. None of us are meant to be completely alone all of the time. I don't believe so anyway. That in my almost 30 years of being, that has never been revealed to me as something that is true and good and right. We are made for community. And I think starting off the year in a really safe, gorgeous bubble of other really interesting and brilliant people, getting together, releasing as a collective, making space for what's to come, and then dreaming really hard and big is a beautiful, beautiful gift you can give to yourself. There are tickets still available. Come. It's going to be so good. There's space for you. There's room for you at the table. I would love to set you a seat. It's online, so I can't really, but I would love to invite you into that and help you sit down and nourish yourself through some meditation, through some breathing, through some journaling. It's going to be so good. It's going to be really, really good. I'd love to see you there. I think seasonal self-care is another way that we can lock in for this winter arc, is another way we can engage with that quiet transformation. And so that could look like warm baths. It does for me. That could look like cooking really slow, nourishing meals. One of my best friends is a nutritional therapist, and she is sending me soup recipes. She is encouraging me to eat warming, nourishing foods. Your girl, me, I am not a nutritional therapist, so I'm not here to advise on what you should be cooking, but I would encourage you to maybe make nourishment the theme of every part of your life at the moment, including your food. And let me just tell you, on New Year's Eve, I made the most incredible beef shin, red wine, slow cooked ragu. It cooked for like 6 hours. It was so good. There's some more in the freezer. Oh, maybe I should have that today. Wow, amazing. Cook nourishing food that actually nourishes you. That whole process for me, cooking it, eating it, so nourishing. Focus on those nourishing meals. Basically, what I'm saying is plenty of rest. When we're talking about seasonal self-care in winter, in this season, is as much rest as possible. Let your body mirror the season. What does that look like? It looks like taking naps, friends. 3s, 1s, and 8s, 7s. You're rolling your eyes at me. That's okay. Take a nap and then we'll talk, Rest. How can we make rest the dream? How can we make rest the goal right now? And then I always think creative reflection is really, really important. There's always got to be an element of creativity in any kind of practical tool offering. And I think it looks like creative reflection during this season. So spending time in activities that don't have a goal. Yeah. So things like gardening. Okay, wait. Everything I'm about to say, you could find a goal. Like gardening, you're gardening because you want your garden to look nice. Cooking, you want to nourish yourself. Painting, you want to finish the painting. But what if we could, as much as possible, remove those goals, right? Paint just to paint. Not because you're going to show it to anybody, not because it's going to hang on your wall, just because of to just enjoy the process of painting or gardening or cooking or meal prepping, yeah? Anything can be creative. It's up to you, how you engage with it, right? But if we could remove the goal and creatively show up to things, I think there is something there for us that is going to help the amygdala, help our subconscious, unconscious, process, reflect, move on as we're doing these really creative, maybe even meditative processes, things. Let me know what you think of. I'm interested. Okay, we're coming into land, and I've called this section Hope and Renewal. And I hope you appreciate that. I want to leave you with this, okay? The winter arc is not the end of the story. It's actually the beginning. Yeah? Let's talk about our breath. So we have our in-breath. We have that little pause at the top. We have the out-breath. There's a little pause at the bottom. Yeah? That little pause at the bottom is the winter of our breath. My yoga teacher explained this to me once. The in-breath is spring. The top of the holding is summer. The outward breath is the release, is the letting go, is autumn. You can't take a breath in without having that pause at the bottom. Let's do it together. Did you do that with me? Did you feel the pause? The pause kind of begins everything. Similarly, with menstrual cycles, we call our inner winter our menstruation phase, our bleeding phase. Cycle day 1 is the moment that you start bleeding. That is the beginning of your menstrual cycle. That is the winter of your menstrual cycle. Winter is the beginning. Yeah? We are at the beginning of the year. So it's it's not just the end of the story, it's not just, okay, well, let's just rest a lot. But I want to invite you into this place of thinking of it rather than this being the end of the story and we just need to close out winter so we can start again in spring. No, I want to invite you to think of this as the beginning of the story. Bree, my friend Bree, who has, she has an Instagram account, which I'll tag. She talks about this really, really well. She is an amazing creative, but she talks about how winter is the beginning. And I want to invite you into that. It's the necessary pause before the next chapter. Just as Earth renews itself each spring, so do we. That renewal begins now. We can't bud up like the daffodils, like the snowdrops in a few months, a few weeks' time, if we don't have this sacred pause, this moment of renewal. So by leaning into this season, you're laying the foundation, you're setting the foundation for something beautiful and aligned to emerge. Take a deep breath with me. Take a deep breath with me. We just talked about breath. Let's take one together. I hope that wasn't too loud on the microphone there. What might your life look like if you fully embraced the rest? If you fully embraced, if you trusted that everything around you is unfolding as it should? What might you let go of to create space for what's next? Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for choosing to, maybe on the first Monday of 2025, the first week of 2025, you've chosen to show up for yourself and take good care of yourself and really nourish yourself this season. I am proud of you. I'm cheering you on. I loved spending this time with you. A few reminders. If you enjoyed this episode, I would so appreciate it if you could share it with someone that might need a little winter wisdom right now. That would mean the world to me. Thank you so much. And maybe you could even share it on your social media. That would be awesome as well. And if you're ready to go deeper, you might want to check out my Overwhelm to Overflow course. It's a 6-module course that is self-paced, that meets you where you are and helps you move from that frazzled, frustrated, overwhelmed place into that nourished, centered, aligned overflow place. It is my signature teaching. I would love for you to check that out. Or you could even book in a blueprint session with me if you're ready to learn more about your Enneagram type specifically and how that could support you and help you and nourish you this season, this 2025. If you want to look at the year ahead and work out how you could best show up in each season, hey, book in that blueprint typing session with me. It's a 90-minute session where we essentially, through a conversation, discover your Enneagram type, discover your deepest motivations, and help you step into the most aligned and empowered version of you. They are my favorite sessions that I offer. They are so amazing. They are so good. All of the links for that are in my show notes, of course. And remember that next Monday night, I've got my seasonal reset, a winter's guide to new beginnings. I would love to see you there. It's a 90-minute class with other wonderful humans where we are going to meditate, we are going to visualize, and we are going to journal our way into the very best versions of ourselves for 2025. It's going to be so exciting. Final reminder, if you don't follow me on YouTube, I'm doing a video a day in January, the Daily Dose Diaries. They're pretty exciting. We've got some pretty exciting videos up there, including a free vision board and bingo card creation session. It's really good. I think that was video 2. Ooh, you're going to want to see that. I will see you next Monday at 9 a.m. But remember, every single part of your story is valuable. It's necessary. It's important. Here's to embracing the winter season together, my loves, with grace and attention. I'm sending you all my love, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you next time. Bye.
If Guided the podcast resonated with you, why not share it on your socials or send it to your friends? And if you have a spare moment, I would love it if you could leave me a review. These small gestures are free and they're invaluable in helping me amplify the reach of Guided the podcast, connecting us with more empowered women who are eager to increase their well-being. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay in the loop with our latest episodes. By subscribing, you'll stay connected and receive a weekly dose of inspiration directly to your inbox. Thank you for being a part of our community, for showing up, and for your commitment to personal growth and self-discovery. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay curious, and keep exploring the depths of your own inner wisdom.